What is up, everybody? My name is Marx, and welcome back to another episode of the Archives, where I just bullshit with you about music, and I go through my old beats and stuff like that, and I give them like a little rating. Simple as that, nothing too complicated, so it's easy for anybody to take in. But yeah, so recently, man, I just started uploading again on this channel, and I invest a little bit of money into some camera gear and stuff because we started a podcast. Go check that out. PO3 Podcast. I'll put the link right here, or something like that, or a thumbnail or whatever. I'll put the link down below. Here's the thumbnail. We're about 15 episodes in. If you want to know more about me, myself, and the podcast in general, it's a mental health podcast. Go check that out. First things first, I want to give a big shout out to Lujan Gaming. I'm going to go ahead and link his channel down below. Go ahead and check him out for some quality content. A big reason I want to shout him out is because he was generous enough to let me and my podcast partner post clips of our content up on his channel, and it's a gaming channel, so he didn't have to do that. So I really appreciate Lujan Gaming for doing that. If you guys please would, go ahead and check out his stuff. If you're into gaming or just quality content, you can head over there and get your daily dose. So shout out to Lujan Gaming. But yeah, so I haven't really been making too much music. I do want to start doing more stuff like on this channel regarding music and stuff. I thought the last episode I did of the Archives, I just made that up on the spot, really. Like, I didn't really put too much thought into overcomplicating the title or the concept of what I wanted to do. I know music, so I mean, it's pretty easy to talk about it. I just thought another little kind of angle to it to add was reviewing my old beats, stuff like that, because I do that anyway. Like when I'm by myself and just browsing YouTube or some stuff, or hear a certain song, it makes me curious to listen to my old stuff and see where the hell I started. For whatever reason, I like comparing and stuff, and a lot of the times I'll end up on YouTube or even on my files here and stuff, go into my old files, because I'll find myself listening for hours and stuff, just critiquing my own stuff and comparing mixing techniques and what kind of drums I was using back then, and what I was actually doing. Was I sampling? Was I creating keys on my own? And a lot of that throughout the years have just evolved and kind of a mix of everything. I remember when I first got started, I was really into techno and stuff like that, like trance and house music. And I've always been a fan of rap, but when I first got into producing, I started on FL, and a lot of those sounds that they had on FL, of the demo version, all their plugins were mostly for producing. You can use sounds for whatever you want, but it seemed like they were driving towards EDM type of techno type of music plugins. They weren't really too hip-hoppy back then, But I tried using it for everything. Any good producer could take any certain sound, say it was designed for EDM, but they can flip it into a hip-hop type of sound and make it sound like that's what it was meant for, with enough manipulation and tweaking the plugin and just playing with the sound, or adding filters and stuff like that. But yeah, so here's how the segment's gonna go. Here's what I'm kind of figuring out. I'm gonna talk bullshit for a little bit, maybe about 15 minutes in or something like that. Then I'll start diving into my beats. But I just wanted to give a little, tell my story about how I started making music and stuff. So when I started making music, I started out on a demo version of FL. I remember my boy GALVXY, right? Shout out to GALVXY Music. I'll actually link him down below. He commented on the last video. If you can't find him, like I said, I'll link him. Shout out to GALVXY Music. I don't even remember how it got brought up or whatever. But long story short, he was making music already. He was making beats on FL Studio. And I just thought it was the dopest thing ever, because I was already myself leaning towards wanting to get into producing, but I had no idea how to go about that. I didn't know about any programs. I didn't know about software that they were using. I had no idea where to even get started. And somewhere along the line, he came over to a buddy of mine's house, because we were all friends, in the same circle. And I think he downloaded a FL version or somebody downloaded a FL version on the house that we were over at. And I remember getting on there and just getting hooked on it. I was that was it for me. Like I couldn't get enough of just playing with the sounds and everything. He hopped on there and he made a quick little drum loop. Like it was like he did it within a matter of seconds. Like he just dropped a clap in there. He dropped a hat and a kick, and then he just let it loop. And I just my mind was blown at that point because I had never heard anything like that or seen anything like that done in front of me. Like you hear music and you're curious to like. At least I was curious to understand how certain sounds. I didn't even know what the sounds were called at that time. I didn't know what a hi-hat was. I didn't know what a kick or a snare was. Like I had no context whatsoever. I was completely brand new to music. So when he did that, I was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna learn what he's learning. You know, I'm gonna do what he's doing and stuff. So I mean, over the years, I would just spend hours on end because, you know, I would bounce from house to house. Like, I would live at my mom's house, and then I would get an argument with her, and then I would, you know, shoot over my friend's house and live there for a while. And the house that I was staying at, one of my boys back in the day, he had a computer, right? And they were mostly like gamers and stuff. They played Xbox and all that, but he had a computer that he was always on, and he was really big into music anyway. So I remember downloading that version on there, and I would be on there so much and so long. Like he had a set of like Dell speakers that would like come out, and then like you can hear the music plugging into the computer, hear them from there, like the old school Dell speakers. And I remember I would be on there so much, and I would be constantly practicing beats. And keep in mind, they were really, really horrible, like bad. Like it was me figuring out how to make music, so it wasn't gonna sound good. But I'd be on there so much to the point where everyone would get so annoyed to where when I wasn't there, they would go on the computer and delete the program, and I would get back on and be like, hey, what happened to FL Studio, you know? And they said they deleted it. So next thing you know, I had to re-download it. And then so that we would just back and forth, delete it, download it, delete it, download it, delete it, download it, and then over and over and over. And I was just relentless with learning how to create beats and stuff. Numerous occasions I would call over GALVXY and be like, look, I'm trying to like do this, you know, I don't know, I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know that you just started with like you should start with like a 4-bar loop, but in my head I didn't even know how to like how to loop. I have no concept of what looping was. So I remember calling him over. I was working on some like guitar chords or something like that. And he's like, damn, you're going for a masterpiece, huh? Because I had like a fucking 37-bar loop of different like chords. It wasn't even a loop. It was just ongoing. It was forever. Like it was just, it kept going and didn't stop. There was no period of, you know. And he was like, nah, dude, like you got to start with like, actually, he didn't even judge me. Like he just kind of let me do what I was doing. And I remember actually what I was doing too. I was trying to remake the Halloween theme of Michael Myers, because I remember somewhere along the line I saw Ronald Jenkins. Shout out Ronald Jenkins, super dope producer. Like he like jams out and he like does it live and stuff, and super crazy. He did a Halloween remix to you know, of his own version of stuff, and I was like, damn, he did it on FL too. And I just thought it was like the dopest shit ever. I was like, oh my God, I gotta learn how to do that. So when I finally got my hands on some music, that's like one of the first things that I was trying to do. And GALVXY Music came over, and I remember like being at parties and stuff, and he was already musically inclined. Like he knew how to play piano and stuff like that pretty well. And I remember him playing like Michael Myers on somebody's piano and stuff, and everybody would always trip out because they knew how to play it. So I called him over. I was like, hey, look, can you help me out with these keys and stuff? Because I remember like laying the like it was probably like in the wrong key too, because the bass notes that I was trying to lay were completely off. And I remember him just moving a couple notes and it like sounded right. And I was like, oh shit, like I didn't even, like my ears were so like I had virgin ears when it came to music. Like I was so far off on the note, like so I didn't even know that it wasn't making sense musically until he moved that note. And then I really started like understanding like, oh, okay, so if this is, you know, in this key, then obviously the bass note's got to be in the same key, like real kindergarten type shit when it comes to like producing. But yeah, I would just be relentless on that, on that computer. And if it wasn't on that computer, I was, whoever's house that I was at, whoever had a computer, I would for sure 100% download like the FL version on there, and then whatever opportunity I had, because I didn't have my own computer at the time. For the longest time, I didn't have my own computer to make music on or do anything like that. So it was always bouncing around people's houses, and whoever had a computer, that's where I would go to use the program and stuff. And luckily, it was a free version, a demo version of FL, which, by the way, you couldn't even save. So like, say I was working on like a masterpiece or something like that, and I was happy with the way it came out. There was no way for me to save that. The only way that I can actually keep that beat was to finish it, bounce it out, or they call it rendering in FL. Logic is bouncing. Then you would be able to keep that beat. You could save that file, but you wouldn't be able to go back to it. And like if you wanted to like mix it or anything like that, you had to do it all in one sitting. So I remember having to, that's why I would spend hours on end on FL, mixing or, at that point I didn't really know how to mix, but practicing how to make beats and stuff like that, because I wanted to finish the entire beat. And that way I could keep the beat, because I wasn't able to save. So that was another issue. And then, so yeah, whoever's house like I was at, I would always remember downloading. I must have had like 8 or 9 different houses of, people that had computers that I had at least some, a version of FL downloaded onto their computer. And I remember I would just go over and they'd be like, are you using me or something? Because like you're just coming over here to like use the computer and stuff like that. So, but eventually my dad gave me a computer, like his old computer or whatever. And of course I downloaded it on there. I even went and bought the full version from Guitar Center. And then I bought the disc version of FL Studio, and then I uploaded it into my computer. And for whatever reason, like it didn't let me save. Like, I don't know, like you had to buy like a higher version of that. But I remember paying like $100 for it or something like that, and it just came in the FL box with the disc. I didn't even end up using that because somebody showed me how to pirate the cracked version of FL where you get all the sounds and you could save and everything. So after I got that, then it was like game over, and I was like, all right, this is where I'm gonna learn how to really, really get into music and stuff. And then that's kind of the long story short of how I became a recluse, because I would constantly just be in my room in my own zone and just trying to figure out how to freaking make music, and make it sound good. And for the longest time, my shit never sounded good. Like it really didn't. Like I never had the ear. I was never naturally talented or anything like that. I can't really play any instruments other than piano. I mean, you learn how to do that with the MIDI controller and stuff. But for the longest time, it was horrible. That's why I loved having GALVXY around, because he was musically inclined and he got it. Like he knew music, he knew what made sense to him. He can hear like the most minute shifts and stuff. Like when we're making beats and stuff, he can hear like, oh, I can tell that you moved it there, like, and it would be like a millimeter, that I would shift something over and like to add swing or whatever, and he would notice it. But for the longest time, I didn't, I couldn't get my shit to sound good. I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't born that way, So and then for like my speakers, I had a Sony, what was it, like a sound system. It was just like 2 speakers and it had a subwoofer, luckily. So I would hook that up and I routed it to my, my Dell, and then that's how I would slap. I would have that shit as loud as I could possibly have it, and then not knowing that, all of my shit was clipping and stuff like that. So like if a sound was low, I would compensate it by turning up the knob on the Sony stereo rather than boosting it in the actual, the FL Studio. So I had no like idea how to mix and stuff. And so yeah, I mean, that's kind of a long story short. I have so many stories like that of me just constantly trying to figure out how to make music work. And with enough grind and stuff, like I eventually figured it out, and then got paid for it because I got good at what I was doing. But I had put in the work. How they say put in your 10,000 hours? I put triple, quadruple that shit. I would skip out on parties to just stay home and make music, Like, hey, like when I was living with my boy, like they were going to parties and shit, and I'd be stuck on a beat, and he was like, "You coming or what?" I'm like, "Nah, I gotta finish this shit," So I took my shit really, really serious. So that's why I wanted to start uploading on my channel again, maybe, because like I said, kind of lost the passion for music just over the years, just for whatever reason. Check out the PO3 Podcast for that to get in more depth on why I lost the passion for it. But yeah, that's why I want to start creating on this channel and stuff and doing more stuff with music. But yeah, so I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my phone, connect it to the speaker here again, and go over some, today I think I want to go over my, my throwaway beats and stuff, and then we'll see what we got there. So I'm going to pull it up on here on YouTube. Go to my own channel. Okay, so I'll start with throwaway beat 5 or something like that. Okay, we're good. That's what the throwaways looks like. I don't know how this is gonna sound like. Let me see. I'm starting to remember now how now I'm really starting to remember how I made this beat. This was a sampled beat. I didn't create these keys or anything on my own. I created the drum loop. I remember that. I specifically remember that, or but it was a sample. I couldn't tell you where it was from. Maybe some of you more kind of crate diggers out there would be able to tell me, but I don't remember what sample I used. But I remember this being a more chill beat, and I do like this beat actually. I'm an idiot. I stopped the fucking recording on here when I was talking. But yeah, I remember that being a sampled beat. So I'll continue. Okay, that's a pretty dope hook right there, the way it drops. I remember for the hook, I changed up the sample. I hit a different part of it, chopped it up, threw it in there, a more ambient part of it, and then I went in and I remember adding some chords to it, and it was like these stock chords. And this was on Logic at this point. This beat came from Logic when I first started making beats on Logic. Yeah, so I remember I pulled up a stock sound of, I think it was Alchemy or something like that. Was it Alchemy? It was Alchemy. And then I found this crazy pad and stuff, and of course it probably wasn't like EQ'd or anything like that, but I laid a couple chords down and it went pretty nicely over the sample. Okay, so there's beat number 1. Beat number 5 of the throwaways, but there's the first beat that I'm gonna review. Now I gotta rate it. So let me see. I honestly didn't think that was too bad of a beat. I think if it had been mixed differently, then obviously sonically it just would have sounded better, hit harder, but like just strictly on a melodic standpoint, I'm gonna give it like a 7. I'll give it a 7. Okay, not bad. 30 views on that 11 months ago. That's when I started the segment of like the throwaway beats and stuff like that. So yeah, my channel, like I said, it took a pretty hard hit, so I was only able to get 30 views on that. It got 1, thumbs up or whatever, so it didn't do very well at all. This whole segment, since the adpocalypse, hasn't done well at all, and I'm not trying to justify it, but it is what it is. I haven't been getting any traffic. Let me see what number 6 sounds like. I like that part. Sounds dope. I actually like that. I like that little piano breakdown melody. The bridge, I used to love to do bridges and stuff. The piano, I don't remember where the hell I got that. I don't know if I played it, but I'm not sure, or programmed it in. But the thing I noticed about these beats is they're like way over, like everything is just overdone. Like the reverb, there's way too much reverb and stuff. And like nothing, going back again to the mixing part, like this would have been a better beat had I had mixed it correctly. But the bass line sounded all right. I'm gonna give this beat a 7 as well, just because of the overall ambiance. It had like a really, really winter type feel, and I thought it was like a dope beat. Could have tweaked a couple things here and there. Like looking back on it now, I probably would have slowed it down, obviously EQ'd it differently, used probably different drums. But with those drums, I remember one of my things that I got into, like a habit that I had, was like using these really like African timpani type of packs and stuff like that, and I would always add those kind of elements into my beats. But I'll give that a 7. I'll give that another 7. I'm trying not to be biased here. I'm trying to have an open mind about actually rating my beats. But yeah, so I'm just gonna pick a random one here. I'm not even gonna look. Okay. This beat is not that old. It's probably a couple years ago. Okay, that beat's not that old. Yeah, that beat's probably like a couple years old. It's a good beat. I mean, for me, I remember I did a Snoop Dogg remix to this. I took some of his like vocals. I don't even know where I found them, but just on YouTube I found a random like acapella of his, and I threw it to this beat, and honestly it didn't sound bad. It sounded pretty good. I don't know, man. It's really, really hard to rate your own beats like without being biased and stuff like that. Like if I gave the last two a 7 and this one was like almost like way better mix than those, and like by default I would have to give this, like at least an 8, but I don't want to give it an 8. I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8 just for the sake of the video. I'll give it an 8. I know there's other people out there that wouldn't agree with me on that, but I'm looking at it like structurally, like the bass line that I use and stuff like that, and the actual mood that I went for. So it is what it is. I'm gonna do one more here because I'm already 25 minutes in. I'll go beat 12. It's all right. I definitely try to go for a hip hop vibe right there. Again, I remember making this beat at the actual studio. Like that's one of the rare occasions where I actually went to the studio. It was probably after a session or something like that, and then I just felt like making some beats or whatever. But I definitely try to go for like a more hip hop vibe like that. This one, I'm not too big of a fan of. I'm gonna give this like a 6. Just I don't know. The drums they're okay, but I just felt like it was lacking something. There was nothing in that beat that like stood out to me. That's why I put it in the throwaway category. There was nothing in that beat that really jumped out to me other than this like one. There was a guitar like stab sample in there, but I like sped it up in the beginning of it and it gave it like a weird sound. If anything, that was kind of like the ear candy. But even though it is a good beat, right? It still doesn't like count as a banger to me. Like there was nothing that like really stood out about it. So I'm gonna give that that beat a 6, and I almost retract my previous statement on the last beat of an 8. Like I don't know, I don't want to get too crazy about it, but like yeah, I'm gonna give that beat a 6, just because you guys might even disagree with me, but that's just how my brain works. And I know a solid beat when I hear it. Like I'll even get into those segments where I think, you know, some of these beats are getting slept on, but I'll go into that more. But yeah, so 3 beats. I'm gonna keep it to 3 beats max, you know, because this thing's already, you know, almost 30 minutes of stuff, and I don't want to take too much of your time. You know, I want to make it a digestible chunk, you know, easy to take in and watch, you know. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for this episode, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed. You know, if you did, go ahead and smash that like button. Please subscribe. It helps me out, helps the algorithm out when you do smash that like button. But shout out Lujan Gaming again. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Archives. My name is Marcus Marx.